Your Excellency, President of the 72nd session of the General Assembly, Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Your Excellency, Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. Mr. President, I wish to congratulate you on your election as the President of the 72nd session of the General Assembly. Mr. Thompson for his commitment and effort to accelerate the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. Mr. President, you could not have chosen a better and more relevant theme given the times that we are living in. For the pursuit and maintenance of peace and the promotion of development in solidarity lie at the core of the mission of the United Nations and its entire system. Since the signing of the United Nations Charter 72 years ago, and in subsequent conventions, resolutions and declarations adopted over the decades, member states have sought to actualize the unquenchable human hope for peace, justice and progress. Mr. President, but the current global development agenda differs in significant ways from all those that preceded it. It is ambitious, revolutionary, transformative, universal, and encompassing every single facet of human life. For its success, this agenda demands a radical and unprecedented paradigm shift in every sphere of human life. Mr. President, we cannot halt or reverse the continued destruction of our natural habitat or the rise in global atmosphere temperature without a change in contemporary production and consumption patterns. This has been confirmed by scientific evidence. We cannot hold or reverse the persistent widening gap between the rich and the poor among our nations without deeper international cooperation and genuine reform of the existing inequitable international system. The current system is inherently structured to enrich a few and impoverish the many. It cannot therefore deliver on a key aspiration and watchword objective of the 2030 agenda, that of leaving no one behind. Mr. President, for us in Africa, the current antiquated system perpetuates a historic injustice, one that can never ever be justified today. The 2030 agenda represents new wine, and we call for a new wineskin, lest we ruin the new wine. It is for this reason that I reiterate my country's unflinching support for the African Common Position on Security Council reform, commonly known as the Ezulwini Consensus. Mr. President, the overwhelming majority of us have accepted that we need to reform the current system in order to improve but not destroy it. Nonetheless, the negotiations and process intended to yield the accepted reforms are painstakingly slow. We are left to wonder, justifiably so, whether those who enjoy and sometimes abuse the power and privileges of the current setup are sincere interlocutors in these discussions. Mr. President, it is axiomatic that we harvest what we sow. Yet by some strange logic, we expect to reap peace. Reap peace when we invest and expend so much in treasure and technology in war. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, global military expenditure in 2016 amounted to approximately $1.6 trillion. In the same year, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, overseas development assistance amounted to approximately $142.6 billion. Those mega investments in ever more lethal weapons and more sophisticated war machinery have not resulted in greater peace or security. Instead, we have witnessed heart-rending suffering and misery and increased mass movements of people fleeing wars and armed conflicts. This trend, Mr. President, should be halted for the benefit of humanity. We believe a different and better world is possible. In proposing and inviting us to focus on preventive diplomacy, peaceful resolution of conflicts, peace building and sustaining peace, the Secretary General is pointing us in that desirable direction. We must also seriously tackle the multifaceted and complex root causes of conflicts, including enduring poverty and deprivation, unequal access to resources, the denial of the rights to self-determination of peoples, and interference in the internal affairs of other states, among other causes. Mr. President, the continued denial of the right to self-determination to the peoples of Western Sahara and of Palestine, who are living under colonial and foreign occupation, is immoral. And for those seeking peace and security in our time, the Security Council has assumed its charter responsibilities and has passed numerous resolutions. What remains is the enforcement and implementation of those resolutions. We call on the Security Council to demonstrate its authority in ensuring the holding without much further delay of the independence referendum in Western Sahara. We expect the Security Council to work closely with the African Union, its proven partner for peace on the African continent in this effort. The ever-deteriorating situation and the continued suffering of the Palestinian people should spur the Security Council to renewed, time-framed efforts to bring about the two-state solution already defined in numerous General Assembly and Security Council resolutions. Development and peace are conjoined and cannot be separated. My country has embraced the 2030 Agenda as an integrated and comprehensive approach to address the myriad and complex national and global challenges in solidarity and in cooperation with other stakeholders. Zimbabwe was honored to be among some 40-plus countries that participated in the voluntary national review at the 2017 High-Level Political Forum in July. We were and still are pleased to share with other countries our experiences and to learn from others their experiences in implementing the Sustainable Development Goals. We recognize the need for beneficial partnerships, both within and outside our national borders. One of our key partners is the United Nations system, with which I'm happy to note we work very closely. I wish in this regard to welcome the Secretary General's initiative to ensure that the support of United Nations country teams will be guided by national priorities. This will ensure national ownership and leadership of the development processes, as well as the sustainability of development projects and programs. This, Mr. President, is what we are experiencing in Zimbabwe. My country is an unflinching advocate for the respect of the sovereignty and independence of countries. We therefore strongly defend and respect the right of each country to take decisions in exercising its sovereign rights. We cannot, however, remain silent when those decisions impact or have the potential to negatively affect our own welfare. And on this, may I say, some of us were embarrassed, if not frightened, but what appeared to be the return of the biblical giant called Goliath. Are we having a return of Goliath to our midst, who threatens the extinction of other countries? And may I say to the United States President, Mr. Trump, please blow your trumpet. Blow your trumpet in a musical way towards the values of unity, peace, cooperation, togetherness, dialogue, which we have always stood for and which are well written in our very sacred document, the Charter of the United Nations. Upon those values, each nation can build its greatness, including the United States. And it's the greatness in recognizing those values: unity, peace, cooperation, dialogue, togetherness, that we would want to be guided by the United States and not by the promise of our damnation. Damnation we shall always resist, no matter whence it comes. We have resisted it when it was in the form of imperialism, as we fought for our own independence, our own culture, our own sovereignty to be masters of our own destiny. That's why we call ourselves free today. It is because the monster of imperialism was defeated by us. Bring us another monster, by whatever name, he will suffer the same consequences. Mr. Chairman, climate change is a present reality, and so are its effects and impacts. Climate change is global, cannot remain silent when a major economic power in the world, or any other state for that matter, decides to abandon the Paris Climate Change Agreement. And that's the United States, the great United States, Mr. Trump's United States. Let us work together. Climate change is a reality. It is vital that we all play our part in keeping with the provisions of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, in order to halt the inexorable march towards the destruction of that upon which our own existence depends. I want, on behalf of my country, to express our condolences. Puerto Rico, as well as to countries that have been affected by other afflictions that have visited them. And there are many in this part of the world. We say so, we are very sorry. And we appeal for the rest of us who have not suffered similar afflictions to go to the assistance of these who have suffered in that very horrific manner. Look at the television today and tell me whether you can say where Puerto Rico is geographically. Completely wiped out by a hurricane. We are very sorry. As I conclude my remarks, it is worth reminding each other that the world today, by its very interconnectedness, demands more, not less, solidarity, more, not less, cooperation and dialogue, more, not less, multilateralism. We have brought more and more issues under the global agenda and within the global discourse. This acknowledgement in the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. Our survival and progress calls for reinforced solidarity, for partnerships and cooperation, for development in unity, in cooperation and in peace. This is a call to which we all must respond positively and actively. Zimbabwe is already doing so. I want to thank you.
Good morning.
On behalf,
we are waking up to the news that Robert Mugabe has passed away. Reports, that are coming through are saying that he died in Singapore. I think we reported a few weeks ago that the president of Zimbabwe, the current president, coming in and saying that he was responding to treatment. He has been in a hospital since April, I think April, May, when he went to Singapore, so he has been there. And the report, came in saying that he was responding to treatment and he was in a jovial mood. But today we woke up to the news that he is sadly, passed away. Many people have reacted. Zimbabweans across the world have reacted. The world is reacted to the news that Robert Mugabe has passed away. Some are saying rest in peace, Robert Mugabe, and some are saying, whatever is coming, to mind, depending on how they want to remember Robert Mugabe. So, as you know, that he is a person that is associated with Zimbabwe and how Zimbabwe is today. You can rest assured that people are going to be reacting in different ways, in different manner of ways. People are going to be writing a lot about him. I saw the Mirror in the UK labeled him the notorious former Zimbabwe leader. Has passed on. Some are saying nasty words about it, but the reality that we woke up to today is Robert Mugabe is no more. The man is sadly, passed on. So we can only pass our condolences to the Mugabe family, Grace Mugabe and the kids and the children and the rest of the family. It's not Iowa, Chema, Inetario, and to those, Zimbabweans. One thing though, the reality is we can never talk of Zimbabwe without talking of Robert Mugabe. And his death might mean something, it might mean something to you. It might mean that an icon has been, has departed. It might mean that one of the founding fathers or the founding father of Zimbabwe is departed. To some, it might mean that a tyrant is gone. To some, it might mean that somebody that is presided over the demise of the country for more than 3 decades has passed on, has died. So we are going to be seeing outpouring of emotions. Zvakaoma mukoma simba hanzi kuone nedzinofizura kangwa zvakaoma. Vaenda vaMugabe. And Zimbabweans are reacting. Different people. In a few minutes, I'm going to be reading some of the tributes, that are coming through from Zimbabweans across the world. And from, the world as well. Because remember, I just played one of his iconic speeches, at the United Nations General Assembly. And some liked it when he went to the United Nations because he would put countries like America in their place, like what some say, that he never means this word. He condemned the continued incarceration of black people in America. He condemned the continued human rights violations of black people in America. He condemned the pulling out of the global warming convention or agreement by the United States of America. So he would call it as it is. If you remember him, if you remember in one of his speeches, he said that we are not gays. He said that gays were worse than dogs. So he was just a colorful person, you know, just like that. Because he would come up with so many controversial, you know, statements. Right. But that is the reality that we are facing today, that Robert Mugabe is gone. Some years like Kwame Ben is saying Robert Mugabe is a hero. He is a hero to him. He is a hero. In his eyes, he sees a hero. He sees somebody who can be associated with greatness. Asana melody warutanzi mdara God watora munhu asiri. That is what he's feeling. So as I said, if you go on social media, you're hearing an outpouring of different kinds of emotions. You're hearing people from all walks of life saying what they think they should be saying pertaining to the death of Robert Mugabe. So in a moment, we are going to be inviting you guys to come on the screen, telling us, you know, what you think, telling us, you know, what you feel. Because here we are not talking about the death of just a simple man. We are talking about the death of a man who was revered across the world. We're talking of the death of a man who is well known across the world. Talking about the death of a man who some believe he stood up to the whites. He reversed what were the injustice of colonial era by taking the land away from the white people and giving it back to the black people. Some of you have got your own kind words pertaining to that arrangement or pertaining to what, you know, he did. Some of you think that, you know, he's the one that led to the demise of this nation by taking or grabbing land from these white people, causing, you know, the nation of Zimbabwe to become a nation of begging. Right, as I'm saddened by his death, but that does not mean I support what he was doing. Yes, I am saddened by his death, but that does not mean that I support, you know, what he was doing. So this is what I'm saying. Like most of you, you might think, you might say, well, as per the African norm, and wafawanaka, people he praise. But some are saying, Shakaoma. And this one, Felix Banda, can't you see what is happening here? He wants to go with many souls because of his evil doings. If I day for the truth, let me say, and I stand my ground of truthness. There are things that people cover and pretend everything is all right. No, let those who are in the light be in the light forever, and those who choose darkness and pleasing the crowd to be. We are human and all we have blood. Right. So that is you said what no one has done and will never do, only the timing was wrong. Rest in peace, Robert Mugabe. I'm sure he died happy. He achieved his own goals. Akati kanyira asi zonzi afa anaka. Not gonna shed a tear for this man at all. He is architect of why Zimbabwe is in the mess mudara uyu. Right. So that is what I was saying. That people were reacting in different ways. We react in different ways. Because this was no ordinary man. And it is understandable. If you can't understand that, I do not know what kind of a person you are. But it is quite understandable if you see some of these comments and reactions, it is quite understandable. Right. The Herald, they are leading with the story that former President Mugabe dies at 96. Oh no, Herald was he was 95. He was turning 96 in February. Herald yakuti afa aine 96. Avano Herald ofuta koma. Right. Franzina Violet Gonda, death of an African icon, first black leader of independent Zimbabwe, complex and tainted figure for many, a hero to some, a despot to others. Both Robert Mugabe's rule and removal represent opportunities squandered. Will Zims mourn his passing, or are they too busy struggling to survive? So that is the question that is being posed, that are we going to be mourning his passing, or we are going to go on with our business of the day? What happens when the architect of an ugly building dies, leaving the building intact and still ugly? Who will mourn the disappeared and dead whom we killed and are forgotten as he is remembered today? Have you ever been educated and poor? Have you ever been oppressed by your liberator? So that is Father Mahere. What happens when the architect of an ugly building dies, leaving the building intact and still ugly? Who will mourn the disappeared and dead, whom he killed and are forgotten as he is remembered today? Have you ever been educated and poor? Have you ever seen, or have you ever been oppressed by your liberator? So that is what, she's saying. Right. Bakaoma. Right. Emerson Mnangagwa, he said, "It is with the utmost sadness that I announce the passing on of Zimbabwe's founding father and former President Comrade Robert Mugabe." And as you know, Zimbabweans, they never cease to amaze. Somebody responded by the name of Hope at Road of Aaron. Akati, motogumira kuchema pano pa Twitter. Anti makauzwa kunhamo musauye. That was the response kuna President of Zimbabwe, Emerson Mnangagwa, who had said, "It is with the utmost sadness that I announce the passing on of Zimbabwe's founding father and former President Comrade Robert Mugabe." And one person came on and said, "Moto gumira kuchema pano pa Twitter. Anti makauzwa kuti panhamo musauye." Right. Na Dr. Victor Chimutu, end of an era, the big tree has fallen. Tumirai mere kuvakuru kuno kwaita mabasa. Site Ali, they've got an update. They're saying funeral preparations for the late former President Robert Mugabe are underway, as his family will be meeting at 10:30 a.m. at his rural home in Zimba. Right? So funeral preparations for the late former President Robert Mugabe are underway, as his family will be meeting at 10:30 a.m. at his rural home in Zimba. I wonder whether Robert Joao is going to be allowed to come back into the country to bury his uncle. New Zimbabwe, they are leading with some of his Argunzafira with Singapore. New Zimbabwe, they are leading with some of his courts saying, and here's one of them: Britain is very cold uninhabitable country with small houses. That is Robert Mugabe. He also said this was in 1980 when he came on. He said, "Stay with us. Please remain in this country and constitute a nation based on national unity." That was Robert Mugabe as he was giving a plea to the white population of Zimbabwe at a ZANU-PF rally in 1990. Right. And as you know, in 2009, they came together with the former Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai to form a government of national unity. And those, that want to remember the good times in Zimbabwe, they remember the period between 2009 and 2013 as one period where Zimbabweans at least had something positive, to be talking about. Shakangoma. If you're just joining me, this is Current Issues. We are here mourning the death of Robert Mugabe. I'm seeing different views. Coming from different people. I'm seeing different views coming from different people. And people are reacting, differently. Chatunga, he took to Twitter. I'm with some emojis ekuchema. He didn't say much. I'm with some emojis ekuchema. He took to Twitter. That is, his reaction. That is how, he reacted. That is how he reacted. So if you want to say anything, if there's anything that you want to say pertaining to the development or pertaining to this news, you can make a request and then I can bring you onto the screen. So that is the news that greeted us, this morning. That Robert Mugabe sadly, passed on. He has died. And a good morning to you if you're just joining me. This is Current Issues and we're talking about Robert Mugabe and his demise. Zvikanzi na Honorable Temba Muliswa nematambudziko kuti mukoma Leo Mugabe. Right. Hey, good morning. Zviri sei? Tungodaro nematambudziko kaya.
Dzaonekwa anko.
Zvakaoma ndangoona vanhu vari kungoreact in different ways. Imimi reaction yenyu yakamirawo sei?
Good. As much as let's look at the things that he did well as well.
Right, I hear
you. This guy, they pasna iye. Right. We enjoyed a certain time period. Although we are not 100% could he did right. And it neither of is this one to right 100%.
Yes.
And it yes, our country is in a situation whereby it was caused partly with him and his political party, which is the political party which is still running now. So we might as well say, but we might only blame change because political party is still doing the same thing. So maybe it was not even him who was causing problem, but the people surrounding him.
Right.
Yeah. So in although I was a big fan like my 2000 it was after independence. But Paris was at Cambonos and Zaganakos and Akaita without Poro, Takato Poro. So education was nice. It was enjoyable. So 2008, Pagano Toromi, the Pavagazo, in the good Mansana, and the Nissan economic as well, and everything like that. I think as a but yeah, depend on his moves in Ozo, Akaito Zaganaka, because what is it Zaganaka is not recognized from Zimbabwe, which other countries with my European countries are benefiting. But yeah, I think go change the way. I'm not saying to Vakakanga price. I wa munu, Vakakanganisa, Pani Vakato, Vaneroporo, Narumo, Kumara, Indona, Narora, tell me the answer for but the tendo is more Agaitos and Muno in Europe because I think I'm around here and Dara Bomira to Bota, Arunga Vakudea. I don't know if we say but Avakude, Zinzawanika.
Yes.
I like our Chopadu. I think Saka, I think I'm going to jingle battery, even Ingam Nanga Garuda, a waste of Ram God. So let's appreciate what he did good. And let's condemn him. Wakakangan Saturam. Wakakangan. He was Wakaito, Wakaita. But then is Jango Quachimo, but is a Wakaito.
Right.
That's why he's a hero at the same point. Because Wakato Batro, black people have a say than just Moka Tango. That Ango was knocked out. So he's got some good things, and he's got some bad things, which we can condemn with Wakakanganisa. Issues of Gukura Wundi, issues of poverty, which comes about. Because even now, his party is still there. So that's why we're still saying with this. We might even blame him, but the party is still there, and the poverty is still getting worse more than what his time was there.
Because even though acknowledging some of the things that you have said, you made it possible for us to go to school, but there are some people that are saying those nice things that he did to us, the Zimbabweans, they are far outweighed by the evils that then followed in the later years of his history. So those sort of overshadow whatever good that he might be associated with. And at this moment in time, he that will be best remembered as a killer, as an oppressor. So there is quite a struggle in terms of wanting to define his legacy. What is his legacy? Because if you look at everything from 1980 to now, and then try to understand, his legacy, what can you say is his legacy?
Uncle, our legacy, Dara, because it is 50-50.
Right.
Yeah, he's got 50% that Ragatas is right and 50% Ragatas is wrong. So to want to define the apparent say, but he's got some good deeds that he did.
Right. Yes. He has
because
some
the
good...
is opening with time people used not to allow, but you get a permission to Maharaj. But they fought against those things to make it flexible for us. Although we are saying which one is but these things could take to the rosary now. Because pane zvinhu zvakawanda zatinoda kutekera kuti titare tijaja munhu isusu hatizi mwari tinojaja munhu pamwe mwedu pane zvimwe zvinhu hatisingatomboona zvakaita zvakanaka because tinoona nemaziso but mukati pane zvakawanda pamwe zvakaita zvatisingazii.
Yes, I hear you.
So let's him go well. Let his go judge him. Man, tinokudza kutaura but let him go well. Munhu hanzi afa anaka. Afa. Because pate munhu wese vari politics pane zvakaita zvakakanganiswa. Zvatisingakwanise kutaura. Even pakafotsvangirai paintsvangirai akaitwa zvakaipa. Handiti. But vanhu vakabuda vachitaura he was a man of what? I would go and he was a man of aida kuti vanhu vave vari pamwe chete vari togetherness. But pane zvimwe zvakaitwa zvakakanganiswa zvakakanganiswa semunhu. So people have a right to judge whatever they want to judge. But let's leave this guy has done also. I actually say to say thank you for the education that he gave us. Because without that education, that is still so.
Right, I hear you.
South Africa, while at least they have an education, but then they don't even have any paper to say that they have done well. Even South Africans themselves, they actually agree with Zimbabwe, they are well educated. Because of that man. Because if he did not put education first,
I want this also.
Although too much educated people, but full of stupidness and I understand. Because we have a lot of educated people, but we cannot come up with a conclusion.
I want to not end any contribution. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ango.
And not end. Thank you very much. Right, if you're just joining me, welcome. This is Current Issues. We are here talking about the demise of Robert Mugabe. So that is caller is saying Kutizo. I mean, yes, he has done some bad things. I mean, he did some best thing, some bad things, but let us also remember the good, that he did. And he cited, making sure that, we were an educated people as one of the good things, that he did during, his time. But there are some people that are not agreeing, who are questioning, his legacy. Saka imimi wokufunga kwenyu legacy ya Robert Mugabe ndeipi chaiyo. Can you say kuti he's a hero? Can you say kuti he's a tyrant? Can you say kuti he was an oppressor, a killer, like what other people are saying? What do you think is his legacy? What do you remember? What do you remember him for? Ganzi ne MDC Secretary for Elections, whatever iwo wakati. May his soul rest in peace, and may his family be comforted. It was a complicated and brutal life. A lesson is not overstaying in power. A lesson that one can be many things to different people, hated and loved in equal measure. A ruined country remains. He died far from it. So this is what is coming from the MDC Secretary for Elections, Jacob Mafume. Vachiti, may his soul rest in peace and may his family be comforted. It was a complicated and brutal life, a lesson in not overstaying in power, a lesson that one can be many things to different people, hated and loved in equal measure. A ruined country remains. He died far from it. Right. If you want to join the conversation, Eugene, I'm trying to aid you. I do not know what you your phone is not responding. But and that is what we are hearing coming from different people who have reacted. So according to the news, he died in a Singapore hospital, age 95. Those of you who have known Robert Mugabe, you've known that he made frequent visits to Singapore. There were rumors that he had cancer. Some were saying that he had prostate cancer. And that is the reason why he always made frequent visits to Singapore. But that was never proved, or that was never mentioned that was the reason why he was going there. But his destination for medical attention was always Singapore, and he would always go to Singapore. I do not know how many times he visited, Singapore. He went to Singapore so many times, and it is the place where he is said to have died. So a Singapore hospital is where he is said to have died. Here is a piece from Al Jazeera as they took a look at his rise to power and controversial leadership. So they are also saying that he died in Singapore. Right. Let me see. Eugene Magumi says, do you want to come on or there's something wrong, Right. Let me. You're just joining me. Welcome. This is Current Issues. We woke up to the news that Robert Mugabe sadly passed on. He died in Singapore, according to reports after battling ill health. We were told a couple of weeks ago that he went to Singapore sometime around April, and he has been in hospital. He was receiving treatment there, to which he was, responding to. I mean, at the end, it was said that he was responding to the treatment. Right. There are some people that are saying, where is he going to be buried? If you remember, a few weeks ago, there was news that broke that said that he wants to be buried KwaZimba. He doesn't want to be buried at the Heroes Eka. So we are hearing news that the family is meeting, this morning, 10:30 a.m. So in the next hour in Zimbabwean time, they're going to be meeting KwaZimba, where I think we are going to, after that meeting, I think we'll hear news of his burial. But there were reports, that came out that said, akati askuda kuti avigirwe paHeroes Eka. Tikati aiwa kamukuru ndimi makagadzira kaHeroes Eka. Ndimi makaisa vamwe vanhu vataita vafanira kuenda paHeroes Eka, asi makavaisa ipapo. Ko makuzoti imi hamuchada kuvigirwa paHeroes Eka kuti zvaita sei? Chii chiri kuitika handiti? Saka ndiyo nyaya yacho iyoyo. Right. Zvakangoma. And after Gaddafi died, Libya realized. After Saddam Hussein died, Iraq realized. After Mugabe died, we will realize. Rest in peace, Robert Mugabe. Zviganzi Natula, I will never forget 27 June. Takashungudzwa, and I lost family members. Very sorry, Tula. Very, 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 very sorry. You wanted to die in power, 8 million of Zimbabweans are suffering. Yeah, that is actually a very good point. Because if you remember, before he was ousted, they said that he was their candidate. He was their presidential candidate in 2018, before he was ousted. So if that had happened, if the coup had not taken place, and if that had happened, it would mean that Robert Mugabe would have been, you would have died, you would have died in power. That is what, it means. That you would have died in power. Because right now, candidate. Hello, Mkoma, is it Angel Tongues? How are you?
Yeah, ziri sei yangu Jed muri boere.
Mwishe kwamuriko.
kuri nani kungotsva chete tatsva kuno.
Zvakaoma. Ndidzo kanza tiri kutaura kanza vaMugabe idzi tikati aiwa rest in peace. Kufunga kwenyu mimi legacy yavo yakamira sei?
Haisi tototi rot in peace. Tototi rot in pieces. Aiwa tikatora metsi mko Uncle Jed. If the negative is more than the positive, then inoita negative at the end of the day.
Saka 2 minus 5.
2 minus 5, it becomes minus 5, minus 3, you know. So iwo ukatanga kumhanya uri panumber 1, but panozopera race woenda panumber last, you know, it doesn't make sense. And where you are, where I am, where other people are is because of nyaya Robert kuti akatadza kutungamira. You know, a lot of people, Zimbabwe, have been looking at statistics. It's the third world, is in the world, is number 3 panye immigration. People have been migrating out of their countries. Number 3 per UN, marecords UN, vanhu vari kubuda munyika. You know, so akakanganisa, families has been dispersed, divorces akaitika because of the economic hardship that we went through. We cannot talk Gukura Wundi, Murambatsina, people being disappearing. 2008, 27 June. I Kanganwikwe, you know, he was there, he was in power, and he had the influence. But he decided otherwise, you know. So for me, it's like, you know, he's not a legend. He rubbed it off. Zvakapera, you know. Tinogona kuita feel sympathize kunzwa kurwadziwa, yes, because we are natural people, but at the end of the day, when you look at it, he messed up. He messed up all the way. For generations, even up to now, the situation yakaita muZimbabwe kuti kurana Mnangagwa, it's because Robert anakwanisa kuita a good path of succession and to leave the young people kuti vaite sei vatungamire. Unoona ndo togarepi ma 40-year-old, ma 50-year-old youth munachinzi ari youth because of Mugabe, you know. And akakanganisa, you know, kungofaka, you can't wrestle with time, even though they wanted him kuti atonge kunyangwe amuguva wakatomutengera wheelchair, hanzi special chair, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And for me, it's like one of those things where time catches up with you, and it's a sign to the other guys who are there in power kuti no matter how much you might wish to be there, even chero Hitler ido totonga kusvika nhasi, but nenguva inozongopedza chete, and they can't wrestle with time. Zimbabwe ichanaka.
Right. Saka kwamuri hakuna rest in peace, kuna
rot in pieces. He needs to rot in pieces. Because
pane nyaya yekuti izvo he said kuti in the last pane mareports akabuda zvinzizo ari kuti haasi kuda kuvigirwa pahero seka, ada kuvigirwa kwazvimba chichichi. Saka akoni kwamuri hazvona basa zvese izvozvo, as long as
Uncle Jed kwaanoenda kana kuita se even chero vakamisa later, if they burn and he becomes ashes, is the same thing, because he did not do anything for the good of his people. People are suffering in Zimbabwe up to now. Ukaona munhu akudya sadza nemabhatani at Uncle Jed, has mafanis ice, you know, those kind of things, you know. It's anagonyetu, mukaona anagonyetu vanhu vakurohwa is because he accepted that kind of torture to people. People cannot demonstrate. Posa, it was during his time, which is affecting things right now. The ZANU PF kutinge, because akaentertain corruption kubva kudhara kuma 94, Zim dollar yakutanga kudeteriorate 94, 97. He couldn't make firm decisions, which no. We had a good example. The English people, they wanted to support the country. If you look at my former colonies, the English people, they go behind them and they support them, not because they still want us to be their colonies, you know, but they want to teach us the right way of governance, you know. But you know, it's strange because of corruption, selfishness, and it has led them to
vaite corruption vachizvipa maloni. Makaona malist akabuda eCBZ, malons aitorwa ma100 million,
Yes.
ma70 million, you know, ana Priska Mufumira, mari dziri kutaurwa idzi, it was during Mugabe era, you know. So mukoma Jedika, it's just one of those days where we can't celebrate, you know. Mutukudzi even did much better than this guy, you know. If we look at Oliver Mutukudzi, he's much a legend more than this. He's much a hero because he stood for what he believed in and he sang about it every day. Then but ana Mugabe wakatanga uri pa number 1 ukapedzisira uri number 0. We will take the last one because ndo yawapedzisira. We'll take the last one.
That is one that matters. Right.
Yeah, kwazvimba it's bitterness because of what his another predecessor akaita and Mnangagwa, you know. It's bitterness kuti no, hamungandidaro inini, you know, makandibvisa pachigaro zvisiri authentic, you know, and yet aida kutoramba aripo with what the country was going through, and ndo zvakazongoitikawo, you know. So
I hear you. Right. Just a second.
Okay.
Right. Aiwa pakaipa. Aiwa. Ndoda kutenga ngoma nokuya kwamaita nekushiya kwamaita nemaviews enyu. Ingwa iko muriko.
Izvo dzato 12 pakati peusiku.
Muriko.
Tiri kuwest coast kwangu Jet.
Right. What was midnight?
Yeah, midnight.
Aiwa, ndinotizuniki good night kwamuri. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay, Uncle Jet, have a good day.
Thank you very much. Right. That was Mkoma the songs, but our evil could Mugabe is not evil. He must vote in peace for all he cares. They do not warrant us to be celebrating, you know, his life, because there's nothing, you know, to celebrate. Right. But if you can make, you know, the request via the icon, you know, that is on your phone. If you can make, you know, the request via the icon that is on your phone, because there's no add icon on your profile. So the add icon that is on your phone, if you can make, you know, if you can make you know, the request, you know, via that. Phone us, the number is pinned, you know, right there. You can phone us and let us know what you think. What is the legacy of Robert Mugabe? What is the legacy of Robert Mugabe? Right. Majmaf, I think, you know, if you can come off, you know, the platform and then come back on, because I've tried to add you, but it is not, you know, responding, because on your actual profile, you do not have, on your actual icon, you do not have, you know, the green icon. So if you can come off and then come back on, I think Inengeadzoka, and then I will see if I can add you, because at the present moment, it is not, you know, responding. Right, if you're just joining me, welcome to the program. This is Current Issues. We woke up to the news that Robert Mugabe has died. Robert Mugabe has died. He died, you know, I think, you know, this morning, and he died in Singapore. He died in Singapore. That is where, right. There's also news, you know, that I just saw that there's a Zimbabwean by the name Isaac Mabandla. He was burnt to death in the early hours, Thursday morning, in the early hours of Thursday morning, around 300 hours, around 3 in the morning. So early hours of Thursday, he was burnt to death. I mean, he was burnt. Yeah, so yes. So he was burned to death in the early hours of Thursday. May his soul, rest in peace. May his soul rest in peace. It's terrible. It's crazy. Oh. It's terrible. Zvakaoma vanhu vamwari. Oh. Zvakaoma. Hans Isaac Mabatla akapiswa kuSouth Africa. Zvakaoma. Right. Haisi kuresponda maji maf your request and sikuziva kuti chii chiri kuitika. Haisi kuresponda. Right. Zvakaoma vanhu vamwari. But that is the news, that we just woke up to. If you're just joining me, welcome to the program. We're talking about nyaya yaRobert Mugabe, uyo ashaya makuseni anhasi kuSingapore. As you know, he was in Singapore. He was 95. He was going to be turning 96 in February, but he is no more. But he is no more. So the condolences messages keep on pouring. They keep on, coming. People from all walks of life, saying, different things. People are reacting in, different ways.